Welcome back, guys. I am Darreck with Project Shanks Gaming, and today we are diving into another Metroid 2 remake. Now, I've been talking about giving you guys this video, or this series I should say, for a little while now, but I had run into previous issues recording this where I would do entire episodes of 30-45 minutes sometimes, and then find out I either had an issue with my audio or my screen capture was too laggy to use. So I've been messing with the settings. I have to use a little bit of a different system when I record for this game. That's just my inexperience, I guess, with the whole Let's Play thing. But yeah, so today we're going to dive in. Now, if you don't know about another Metroid 2 remake, this is a fan-made game that was 10 years in the making. It's a remake of Metroid 2 Samus Returns for the original Game Boy. And even though it was released late last year for free, Nintendo shut it down within 2 days, a cease and desist order. It made a lot of people upset with Nintendo, but the thing is, like, the guy wasn't looking to make money anyway. It was just a passion project, and once it gets out to the internet, it's there anyway. So it is what it is. And then we saw at E3 this year, you know, Nintendo is for the 3DS doing their own Metroid 2 remake, so it kind of makes sense in that regard, even though both games very much so have their own flavor and all of that. I'm actually looking forward to the Nintendo one, but on AM2R, let me just say this for it. This is a beautiful, beautiful fan-made game. This feels like a 2D Metroid game that we've wanted from Nintendo for more than 10 years. I think 2004 was the last time we got a 2D Metroid game in a Zero Mission. Now I know the new one for 3DS, the new Metroid 2 remake, is also 2D, but really that one's like a modern day. From what I've seen of that, it almost looks like a cross between. It actually feels kind of like an Other M in terms of gameplay. Like, I know Other M was like 2.5D, but whatever. I digress. Here's all you need to know about this game. This is a beautiful, awesome game. It's its own very unique flavor. It looks, it feels, it sounds like a Metroid game. So I'm thrilled to finally get to play this. Now, let me delete one of my games real quick. And we're gonna dive in. That was the second recording effort where I got only 17 minutes in before realizing something had gone wrong. Alright, Metroids. Numerous incidents in the past have brought to light the highly destructive power of these life forms, spreading fear across all known planetary systems. Hoping to secure peace in the galaxy, the Galactic Federation orders the extermination of the Metroid species. I was the best candidate for the job. Go on. Ah, tiny little left hand. Once again, I find myself standing alone against the Metroid menace. What horrors await me within the depths of their homeworld? So, if you're not familiar with the plot of this game, obviously this should have just given you some context there. But Samus goes to SR-388, the Metroid homeworld, to eradicate all Metroids. And what you find is, in this game, that they have burrowed underground, and because of the harsh conditions and kind of ecosystem of the planet, they've evolved in frightening ways. And this is really, in the early Metroid games, the first one to introduce such a concept of changing Metroids, not just the larval version everyone knows. God, I love this game. Controls are so tight. It feels like Metroid Fusion to me, just looking at the graphics and everything. But it has conventional things. Instead of having to double hit down to go into Morph Ball, you just push a button now. Remember that guy? That was one of the creatures from, oh, you little shit. That was one of the creatures from, what was it? In Fusion, in fact. One of the creatures from Fusion that actually infects Samus in the beginning with the X-Parasite. So, stop one bullet short. Alright, so I've played this a couple times before all the way through. Now, I'm not going to give you guys the pretext or belief that I'm going to beat this 100%, 100% of the items, all of the map highlighted. I'm not going to do that. I frankly think that while to some degree that can be exciting to see new placement of things, I actually think more often than not that kind of gameplay can get a little boring because you ultimately end up with someone just running around or having to try and do some crazy shine spark trick to get into a new section for way longer than is possibly entertaining. So we're just going to dive right in. Now I will say this, I have been made aware of an entire section of the map, obviously not required to beat the game, but an entire section of the map that I didn't even know existed, and has a lot of Easter eggs relating to other Metroid titles. As soon as I heard about that, a little bit of lag. As soon as I heard about that, I was sold. I was like, okay, I gotta go find this. That was one of the other reasons I've been excited to play this. Okay, so here we go into the first Metroid battle. See, it was a larva cocoon. Now you get this little green-bellied shit. Now, I'll be honest, the battles, especially with these guys, aren't all that difficult. I'm actually going through this in a very just nonchalant way. All you gotta do is shoot the green underbelly. Nothing here. But all you gotta do is shoot the green underbelly on them. They have an obvious weak spot. You just gotta kill them. And as you progress through the game, you'll find newer and newer versions of them, newer evolutions of them, I should say. Earthquakes. The massive cave system is located between the two tectonic plates, largely flooded by an extremely dense and caustic substance familiar to or similar to magma. The recent earthquake has altered the cave layout and the hazardous substance has drained to lower levels. The cause of the earthquake is unknown. Initial orbital scan of SR388 detected no instability within this region. So this is kind of the method in which you advance, right? You kill a Metroid and, Deus Ex Machina. Suddenly, oh, how convenient. The lava drains from that section and now I can go find the new Metroids that are in that area. Here's something cool too. If you look at the start menu, you see there are 54 now Metroids total to kill. I've just killed one. And the number next to it, the 00, is how many are in this region. So there's no more here. But again, because the lava just drained, I'm going to be able to go get to them. So, and one thing I love about this game too, there's so much lore to this game. Let me go in here, menu. Yeah, you got a mission briefing. We've already discussed what your objective is. A little info on the planet itself, talking about how there are Chozo ruins here, and the Metroids have thrived here. Talk about the earthquake. So here are the two secondary objectives. A research team was sent down when no Metroid life forms were scanned on the planet's surface. It was believed they might have died out, and so they sent a research team in to, just try and search the planet, because not much was known about the planet before, because with the Metroids, no one could go there. So they send this research team down to kind of document and find some stuff out, and then eventually communication breaks off with them. Well, then they send in a search and rescue team, and eventually they stop. They lose contact too, and then that's presumably the time in which they reached out to Samus. Here's some general info on the Metroids, their life cycle. Yeah, the first version of it you see. The Alpha Metroid, yeah. Just a little info, a little bio on each of them. Kind of like the Metroid Prime series. You don't scan them, but it just gives you a lot of journal entries that fill in the lore and everything. And that's kind of cool. And here's some info on the Chozo, how they were like this ancient species that kind of brought peace within the galaxy and all of that, and how they were wise and advanced all these different civilizations and whatnot, but then they mysteriously died off. And based on, if you know much about the Metroid lore and all of that, you know that Samus her colony was attacked by the space pirates when she was only 4 years old. Her parents were killed, and a member of the Chozo, Oldbird? It's been a while since I've read the manga on it. He saved Samus. Oh, you're a little tougher. Saved Samus and took her to their planet. Now, for her to even survive on this planet, they had to alter her DNA with some of her own, or sorry, some of their own. And that's how they explain Samus's ridiculous physical abilities and everything like that, her agility and things of that nature. Space bird DNA, pretty much. They actually train her and give her the power suit. It's as they describe it, it's like modified version of Chozo, not war armor or anything like that, because it's clearly like it's a power suit. Like it's basically the equivalent of like an Iron Man suit almost. So I don't know, but they made it for Samus, and the Chozo are complicated beings. I always thought these things looked like Samus helmets. The Chozo are complicated beings in their own right because so there was actually the Metroids were actually created by the Chozo to eliminate a threat of a species known as the X-Parasite, who can infect and take over a host's being, absorbing their memories and knowledge and all of that. And so, huge threat. They could take over, the entire galaxy, basically, if they wanted. And I don't need a save station yet. We're doing fine. Oh, another suit. I don't have power bombs yet. Or just bombs, not power bombs. But they could infect this stuff, so they created the Metroids, which the Metroids initially, I don't know if this was an oversight by the Chozo or what. They were, genetically designed. Damn it. Why can't I make that? They were genetically modified specifically to hunt the X-Parasite, and then once they had almost eradicated them, I guess they assumed they had. I guess the Metroids either adapted to it just to go after any life, because they have to sustain their own species and everything. So survival, you're gonna go after anything else, drain all the life force from them, leave them a dried out husk. Go ahead and save. So they do that, and then the Chozo kind of go, we might have made a mistake there. Hey, that kid we picked up when she was like 3? Trained her on our ways. Yeah, we should probably send her. Oh, I love this. We should probably have her do something about this. Actually, I think they first had. The Metroids were also created by an intelligent AI. The Chozo had. God, still don't have it. Wait, can I shoot it? Yeah, by an intelligent AI that the Chozo statue with the power-ups, bombs, that the Chozo had created called Mother Brain. And Mother Brain kind of like oversaw the incubation of the first Metroids, and she I say she, it's a computer, but it's called Mother, so Mother Brain brought them along, but I think ultimately the Chozo felt the answer was actually Samus to solving the problem. Because I think even the Chozo eventually came to realize, yeah, someone needs to do something about the Metroids, and I don't know if it's because Mother Brain oversaw their incubation or whatever, that she was hesitant, but for whatever reason, the Chozo felt Samus was the answer rather than Mother Brain to solve the Metroid problem. Mother Brain then kind of loses her S, and that's why she ultimately is the villain of the first and then later the third game. Yeah, she ends up working with the space pirates to steal the last Metroid, which, you know, sorry, spoiler. What goes here? Ah. Well, I can't go through it. To steal the final Metroid, spoiler. But, yeah, it I guess works out alright. Samus goes against Mother Brain, kicks some serious ace. What's this? Charge beam! There's so much lore to this series. Like, I could only attempt. Yeah, I love that too, a charge beam. Just like Prime brings the power-ups to you. It's just convenient. You son of a bitch. There's so much lore to these games, and frankly, they do get a little convoluted. Obviously, everyone knows the horrible thing that Other M did to the series. It basically killed Metroid dead in the water for 7 years. I know we got Metroid Prime Federation Force last year. That's not Metroid as far as I'm concerned. Samus Aran's not even a playable character in the game. I don't even think she's in the game in any sense. She might just be mentioned. And it looks like a chibi style game. It frankly looks like a game that was something else that was built that they then looked back at and said, I don't think this will do well. You know what'll help it? You know what people really liked? That Metroid Prime thing. Let's do that. They're like, wait a minute. It's like, wait a minute, you mean you want to play off the name convention and nostalgia of a beloved franchise? Hey, there's something here. But then make no efforts whatsoever. It's always a challenge. Ah, wait, I remember. But there's still something over here. You can see that the wall doesn't end here. Aha! Yeah! Alright. There we go. Alright, you can't get it. That's Spider Ball. I would power up that for some reason, despite being introduced in the second Metroid game, even on the original Game Boy, did not come back until Metroid Prime. They just kind of gave you like the spring ball or bounce ball. I think it's called spring ball. And we're like, yeah, that's good enough. Anyway, so Metroid Metroid Other M or Mom, which the game makes no effort to be subtle in its messaging or symbolism. People hated it. Like, the gameplay was okay. It felt like it was trying really hard to be Metroid, Super Metroid 2 or Super Metroid 1.5. But the problem it had was that its writing, and it had plot holes galore, but it also had just really bad writing. Like, when people say that Team Ninja under Nintendo's watch basically committed character assassination against one of Nintendo's more popular IPs, that's pretty harsh. And in all these Metroid games, I know Samus in this one, and granted it's a fan game, it's not canon. I know that Samus doesn't talk much, just like how Link doesn't really talk much. And part of Samus's allure was that was part of it. She was this silent badass who just came in, wrecked shit, and left. So it was very unusual to see her suddenly being depicted and something that in their own timeline they put around, they put after Super Metroid. Super Metroid is Metroid 3. So it's like you're telling me in Samus's fourth adventure that you recognize. By the way, not even that. I don't know if Metroid Other M might have also done, I'm not certain on this one, but it might have also done the wholly unpopular thing of making Metroid Prime series either a different timeline or just flat out not canon anymore. I don't think it could be, oh god, even resting animations, that's impressive. I don't think it could be that, because obviously they wouldn't be making Metroid Prime 4 if it wasn't canon. So I think probably what that means is that it's a different timeline, which is still disappointing. But if you look at where Metroid Prime would have to fit in, it would have to be, it occurs between Metroid 1 or Zero Mission and Metroid 2, this game. So that's a lot of stuff that happened there. I don't know where Metroid 4 will occur within the timeline, but that's a lot of stuff to... Wait a minute. Okay, I already did all that. Yes, nothing else to go that way. I need to go back left. That's a lot to occur in there. To have 3, potentially 4 installments before what your name convention says is Metroid 2. And, you know, I know there are issues, because obviously the Metroid Prime games, Ridley was Meta Ridley, he was like a cyborg dragon thing. And then in Metroid, Super Metroid, he's there, but he's still just his normal self. There are continuity issues like that, but I think even beyond that, oh yeah, so Samus's character assassination. So you have Metroid 1, you know, she comes in her Zero Mission, badass, no issue. You have then Metroid Prime 1, 2, 3, again, badass. Then you have her going to the Metroid homeworld and doing all this. Then you have Super Metroid. Okay, so we got some more creatures here. Yeah, this is just warning me about the green stuff, how its tendrils like drain energy or whatever. About to have a Metroid fight. Then you have Metroid 2, Super Metroid. Then you have, according to that Nintendo timeline, Other M. Hey, buddy. Yeah! Suck on that. No! Then you have Other M. So it's like in Nintendo's own timeline, unless they're now saying that Prime is an alternate universe. You have legitimately 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 titles before Other M. And suddenly Samus has like PTSD, and that's not to say that's a bad concept, but what gives her PTSD is a confusing one, because suddenly the sight of Ridley, she literally, like, the camera pans around his back, and as she comes back into view, she's suddenly not, you know, powerful Samus Aran in her armor. She's a scared little girl, the 3-year-old that Ridley, you know, whose village or whatever colony Ridley attacked and who killed, you know, like she was when he killed her parents, basically. Damn it. Oh, shit. Which is so stupid. It makes no sense. It's terrible writing. They should have looked at that and been like, yeah, for where we are in the timeline, this is stupid. If this was literally the only time that would have made sense to me, there are 2 occurrences I would have accepted that kind of storyline. And that would be the events of the events of Zero Mission, wherein it's her first encounter, and it's like, even though she's trained for this, she's suddenly overwhelmed seeing him, because it's, you know, you don't know until you're there what it's gonna be like. That would be acceptable. Or Super Metroid. Obviously Ridley's not in I get it. This is one of those things where Prime kind of complicates things as well. I also would have accepted it for Super Metroid, which by the original timeline that we're operating off of, and like I said, other M seems to ignore Prime anyway, that would have made sense to me. But Super Metroid makes sense too, because at that point, you know, she essentially has killed him in the first game. Well, you know, he explodes with the animation, so I don't know what else you could tell me he's doing there. So that would have been acceptable, but any other timeline, it doesn't make sense. Okay, so we're going to save here, guys. I think that's all that we're going to have for today. I've been recording for 24, 25 minutes here. I think that's a good first episode of another Metroid 2 remake. I know I've been just gushing and going on and on about the Metroid games, but man, this is one of my favorite game series. This and the Uncharted series are probably two of my most near and dear franchises. So thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I've been Darreck with Project Shanks Gaming, and until next time, peace.